Right, hello, well my name is Jean-Pierre, as you know. My proposal, my documentary, which I'm hoping to do, is called Card 52. And this is based upon, growing up as a kid, I used to do magic, and the sort of reactions that I got from people growing up, and I stopped for quite a while, but then I started getting back into it. And the sort of impact it had on me was quite tremendous, really. But I wanted to create something that really demonstrates one of my talents, my hidden talents that not many people do know about. So I did a bit of research, and based upon this, I did 34 people completed a survey, and 30% of it was male and 70% was female. And this was quite surprising, actually, because in one way, females are a little bit prone to wonders, and men are meant, stereotypically meant to be, quite, nothing phases them. So I was quite surprised when it came to this, because I thought that perhaps men and women both equally like magic. So through this, I asked them what sort of age they were. A majority of them were actually 16 to 20. That's sort of the age group which I'm going to be focusing on. I wanted to find out if people really do like magic, because it's quite an uncommon thing to do. You don't really go out on the streets and expect to have magic done. And obviously, majority of them were yes, but those who said no and unsure, the way I'm going to go about it is I'm going to have something in the beginning that really grabs their attention. Something like a sort of like a cinematic opening, something that would make them want to watch it. Next, I asked them what sort of who their favourite magicians are, who they're most recognised when they think of magic. And the ones that really came up was Dynamo, David Blaine, and Darren Brown. And I looked at these. I'm going to be looking at these. The way there's been filmed, their sort of TV shows, and how they do it, how they document their sort of travels, and the way that they go about showing magic. Next, I want to see, would they watch a documentary about magic? A lot of people did say yes, but yet again, those people who said no and maybe, the way I'm going to go about it is I'm going to be primarily focusing on my age group. When I go out and perform, I will be performing on younger and older audiences, but I do want to, get those people who said no and maybe to be interested in my documentary. Next, I also, what makes magic enjoyable. This was a primary thing for me to focus on when making this, and a lot of things came up like mystery, the sort of surprise, disbelief. The unexpected tricks, not knowing how it's done, the way minds are blown and shocked, sort of suspense and skill it takes to put off an illusion. So like I said, trying out how trick is done. A lot of people who watch this want to know how it's done, and through my documentary, I'm not necessarily going to show how some tricks are done, but I will give a few, simple things, little party tricks, little pub tricks that people can just do right there and then. Next, I wanted, what would they expect to see in a documentary. Confident magicians were performing magic tricks. A lot of people who go out on the streets and they do magic, they're not very confident. They already engage their audience. They already make it something which, if they're not really going to be comfortable with it, how's their audience going to feel comfortable with it? No special effects, so no camera tricks, nothing like that. This is all going to be done literally just there and then, and there's not going to be any sort of special effects added to it. I don't really do that sort of stuff. Next, going on the streets, doing simple tricks, but at the same time as using ordinary objects, a few things. I will be including, obviously, cards, because that's quite a dominant thing when it comes to magic. Next, I wanted to find out what sort of magic shows that people watch. Quite often, Dynamo, Darren Brown, Troy, Penn and Teller, David Blaine's were the most ones that came up when doing this. When I'm creating my documentary, I'm going to be looking at sort of style and simplicity and the way it's being filmed to show how magic is being portrayed through these documentary to adapt to my own documentary. So I wanted to find out when people most would watch magic shows, and a lot of people said, the majority of the people said evening. So when I'm going to be filming, I'm going to be filming from sort of afternoon to evening sort of period, because that's where most people are going to be interested in. Where when people perform magic in the evening, it's very rare to come across someone who is performing magic, at a sort of dull lit area. So I want to address this and go out as well as afternoon, evening, and try and get people's reactions and try and do something quite incredible, working in the evening sort of atmosphere. I asked if there's any additional information that they wanted to add to it that might benefit me and understand my audience a bit. So they want to show that this came up quite a lot actually. How does one rehearse a magic show? So sort of way how I would, growing up, how I would practice constantly. What effect did people see when I did my tricks at school, and when rehearsing, how often would I do it? How often would people come up to me and ask me to do a trick after finding out I can do this stuff? So this is something which I'm going to address in my documentary. So this is my audience rationale. Like I said, I have a strong opening to engage my audience, a cinematic sort of cross-cutting, between audience reaction, similar to Dynamo's second season. I don't have a clip of it because I don't want to spoil what I want to do, but it is free to look up on the internet, YouTube. But I want to have something that was going to really grab the audience attention, really perk them up on the seat. Also, through the show, I'm going to be building up anticipation, so to a big trick, which I'm hopefully going to be doing live. So I'm going to be, through this, I'm going to be showing audience reactions to the tricks that I'm going to be doing live, and then when I do it live, hopefully the anticipation should build up throughout. I'm also, like I said, when people said about how tricks are done, they want to know how some tricks are done, how they're done. So this is where I'm going to show a little few party tricks that people can do right there and then. I hope I'm going to be filming that in a small sort of studio lit type setting, really. As well as from popular highlight shows, I'm going to be where I take a lot of my inspirations or style, the way that they do handheld shaking camera, the way that they've when you watch it, you feel like you're actually part of the audience, and part of the spectators around. So those are the sort of primarily things which I'm going to be focusing on. Like I said, this is a little synopsis of what I'm hoping my documentary will do, digging up in my past, how magic's influenced me, and how growing through this, people around me, friends and family, could really see how this has changed my life, and what was the turning point for me when I did this. What was the turning point for me when I first picked up a deck of cards and I showed a trick, and that will all be explained within the documentary. So this is my risk assessment form which I completed. So it is, when going out on the streets, you've got to be careful of people, theft. You've got to be careful of, sort of risk of people don't want to be filmed. You've got to get permission from them. You've got to have a risk of not leaving the camera equipment lying around, or they might get pushed over and broken. So by these, what I'm going to do is not leave it unattended. Have sort of wise, take down out the way, and try and keep it nice, neat and tidy as much as possible, as well as informing people who I'm going to be trying to get their consent to film and use them in my documentary. So this is sort of my production schedule, which I'm hoping to do. From Tuesday the 26th, I've been filming in Rugby. This is where it all started. And then throughout, I'm going to be filming interviews and editing them on days which I'm unable to film. So this is my sort of production schedule, which I'm hoping to do. these, like I said, these are sort of influences based upon my audience research, which I will be focused on. So Dynamo, David Blaine, Troy, these are street performers that are quite common, and when you think of Magic, you think of these people, and they actually have shows which attract the sort of demographic audience which I want to have. So these are a few of the interview questions which I'm going to be asking people, friends and family around. Obviously friends, when you meet JP, in school, what was JP like before you started doing Magic? It's sort of the sort of development of me performing, and how the performances of influence of other people has influenced me to perform more. So I even actually have a deck of cards with me. I want to do a trick with you, Lee, if that's alright.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's alright, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Do you want to come up?
Okay.
Right, do me a favour. Do you want to give that a shuffle for me?
Okay.
Actually, I see you've done this before.
Am I allowed to look at them and check them?
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
So that's a proper deck.
Yeah. It's a proper deck, yeah.
Okay. Seems shuffled already, but I'll shuffle it some more. There you go.
Awesome. How about this? How about pointing a card? Any card you want.
Okay, this one.
That one.
Yeah.
You don't want to change it. Are you sure? Is there any way I can change your mind?
No. That's one I looked at, that's one I chose, that's one I'm
Done.
going with.
Alright, have a look at it.
Okay.
Remember it. How long do you think this trick will take? Roughly.
Just a minute, I think.
Minute? Alright. So I see you've shuffled before, I see. When I used to perform this, a lot of my friends, what they used to do is they used to try and mess me around. So when they did this, they used to take cards up and down, and this is shuffle which is also, favoured by drunks and children. And all they want to do is just mess up the deck and the order of the deck. So going through this by myself late at night is quite sad, isn't it? So some cards will be like that, some cards are like that. Do me a favour, put your hands out like that, flat. Awesome. Put your other hand on top of it. So right. How quick do you think you can sort out all these cards? Roughly?
It take a long time.
It take a long time.
Yeah.
It usually takes people around about 2 minutes to do. I'm going to do this in 2 seconds.
Okay.
I'm not only going to sort out all the cards, but I'm going to take your card and turn it upside down. Okay, do you want to lift up your hand? Alright, now watch. Just like that. You see that?
Yeah.
All cards are going to be turned up, except for one card at the whole deck. I'll move that card.
Excellent, that's my card.
Is that your card?
Brilliant, thank you. Excellent. If you just stand there, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Absolutely.
You set yourself a really big challenge of having that cinematic opening. I really like the fact that in your research you've identified people who are interested, people not interested, but you've got a lot of people saying maybe. And you said you're going to cater for that group by doing something cinematic. It's going to start like wow. Are you confident that you can deliver that? That sounds like a huge challenge.
It is a huge challenge, and I'm hoping if people, from my course and friends and family around, if we could come together, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start planning this from today, and then hopefully shoot this just before we have to present this to everybody. So this is something which is going to be fresh and new. So it's going to be up to date. So it doesn't look like it's going to be done like.
Okay.
So everything's going to be pre-production, and then just before we have to show everybody, where we have to view the footage, everyone else's documentaries, I'm going to be filming that, and then it's going to be fresh, new, and straight there, so no one's going to be expecting it. That's what I'm hoping to do.
Okay, brilliant. You've done some great secondary research, and I like how your secondary research ties into your primary research. So they highlighted the shows that they like, and that's what you're basing your research on, and they are quite fresh and up to date, aren't they, as you've mentioned. I really like the kind of scattergrams that you had, but I love how people have said maybe, or they're not sure, and then you've said to them, well, what do you want to see in it to make it appeal to you? And you've got all of these kind of answers. But when I looked at your slide, they looked kind of equal. Was there none more popular than others?
No, they were pretty much the same answers. What you've seen there, they were just same answers, different worded. Those are the same things that came up quite often when I looked through my results. So it was something that was quite a common denominator within
So when people said Darren Brown and Dynamo and all these different people, they all had like 2 or 3 answers each.
No, it was quite a lot of those. Those were the main people that came up.
Yeah. That's amazing. If you could go back to a slide,
Yeah.
one of the slides that we're talking about. Okay, yeah, keep going. So this one here, for example,
Yeah.
what's your favourite magic show? You got some great answers there, but there's nothing that tells me which one was the most popular. So
these here were the most popular ones out of everything. So Dynamo, The Magicians, Darren Brown, Eddie Street Magic, David Blaine, Troy was a quite popular one. Penn and Teller was quite a popular one. Like I said, Darren Brown again. There's also a show which was aired quite a while back. I can't really remember. It's basically like the biggest secrets magicians revealed. That was quite a popular one. Those came out. So these all here were equally quite popular.
right, okay, so it wasn't like 30 people said Darren
No,
Brown
no,
and only
no.
2 people said this one.
No,
So okay,
it was quite a popular one. So these are collaborated of all the answers that I found.
all right, okay, brilliant. Thank you very much.
That's alright.